Europeans and early Americans who came to Kentucky found life to be very tough. Why was it so hard? Who came, and what specifically did they experience? Many of the Europeans, which consisted of the French and English traders, would come to trap and to trade furs, and often didn't stay long. They would just come and do their business and leave. Meanwhile, colonies were growing in other parts of the country and were settling into forts. These forts often were crowded. Food shortages became an issue. The uncleanliness of the places caused disease and death. Of course, there was often unruliness in the forts. And so many families were making the decision to move on to another place and build a home, raise a farm, and become self-sufficient and have a family there. And many of them came to Kentucky. Of course, the Native Americans were already here, and this had been their hunting ground and their homes for many years, and they weren't willing to give this up. A historian from back in the 1870s made a quote that I found interesting. His name was Frederick Jackson Turner, and he said that Kentucky became the meeting point between savagery and civilization. And although I don't agree with his view, he felt that the early Americans should give up their land for free and let the settlers who were coming in have it for their adventures and explorers to take over. Life was very hard as these colonists settled onto their farms. Like I said, they wanted to become self-sufficient. There was many perils in the homesteads. Indian attacks not being one of the least of them, of course. But also, I know I grew up Mennonite and my parents were Amish, and we lived a mainly self-sufficient lifestyle, and it is hard work. They were willing to do the hard work. I know that the women worked right alongside the men, but they often didn't have the tools that they needed. Breaking ground and dealing with the roots and such to make fields to plant their crops, and raising cattle and protecting them from wild animals or Indians that might want to try a beef instead of a buffalo. But they dealt with a lot of things that we have no idea of from our lifetime. I thought a lot about the issues that the women had, childbirth, raising their families, loneliness maybe, the fear of losing their husbands in this unknown land with a family for them to raise. I'm sure they had a lot of issues too. But it was a hard time for early Kentuckians.